Crouse.
Well, it's incredible that even though she hasn't made a film for a very long time now, she's still on Larry King when she's talking about, I'm to prove that she's okay. She goes on Larry King, and people still care. And I wonder why, because it's been a long time since she's made a movie. It's been a long time, frankly, since she's done her best work. And yet, there's something about her that still draws us in, and I guess that's why the book is called How to Be a Movie Star.
Movie star. She went into the hospital a couple weeks ago, and she puts it on Twitter. And she keeps updating her. Letting everybody know. And now I'm going into the operating room. Now I'm out. It looks like I'm doing well. She's always known, and the people around her have always known how to keep her name in the spotlight, keep it in the news. But you know what I think it is about Elizabeth Taylor that has made her so enduring is that she is always been so authentic. So many stars create this artificial public persona for themselves, and they live behind that. Elizabeth Taylor, everything we saw about her, everything we saw her doing, the marriages, the health crises, they were all real, and she was living her life very real and very authentically. The trick was the people around her learned how to sell all of those twists and turns in her life to her greatest advantage. But it was never a lie. There was never make-believe. What we saw was actually true.
Well, it's interesting because I sometimes wondered when I would read things like she would only use a cigarette holder once and they had to be color coordinated with the dress she was wearing and the tablecloth in the restaurant and that sort of thing. Yeah. If that was just a manufactured image, she wanted to be perceived as a difficult movie star, or someone who had high exacting standards about absolutely everything, or if that's really authentic.
I think that was actually authentic.
Really?
This was a woman who loved luxury. She loved living the high life. Fame and the spotlight and movies and acclaim was never her goal. Her goal was the trappings of all of that. It was the diamonds and the yachts and the fur coats. She's very upfront and always saying, that's what I love. I love that. That big living, that, living out loud and just this luxury that she just loves so much. So all of that was real, but she had very smart people around her who said, this is going to translate very well if we do position her in this way. It could have backfired. I mean, somebody who lives that grandly and that luxuriously, you could get a reaction from people who say, well, she's so full of herself. But the trick was Elizabeth never was full of herself. There was a lack of arrogance about her. So she could be very glamorous, she could be very demanding, she could have all the color-coded cigarette holders, but at the same time, she seemed like this good old girl who would go out and have some fried chicken and play some pool too. So that was the this brilliant kind of dichotomy in her public image.
Well, I think that's why Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf worked so well.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was sort of a riff on what she might have been like in private, because everyone knows that she likes to have a drink, that she used bad language.
Yes,
and so when this movie comes out, all of a sudden it was something completely different than we had seen her do before, but it was maybe a little closer to the real off-screen Elizabeth Taylor than you might have imagined.
And the brilliant thing about Virginia Woolf is that Martha is so loud and vulgar and over the top, which Elizabeth could certainly be, but you also don't despise her either. I mean, that's the brilliance of that performance, is that she's actually compassionate. I mean, you actually feel sympathy for her. So, and that was Elizabeth. I think that was a microscopic view in terms of what Elizabeth Taylor was able to do in her entire career. She could be over the top, but at the same time, she was always lovable too.
Well, for my money, it's her best performance.
Oh, definitely.
And by far and away, I think. Yeah. But I love Boom. I love
Boom
the
is
movie
great.
Boom. Boom is great.
Boom was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Boom was definitely ahead of its time. I would actually say, I think Cat in a Hot Tin Roof is at least the equal with Virginia Woolf, because she was doing something so different there. She was actually having to do, in a much more subtle way, the kind of passion that she was able to scream at the top of her lungs with in Virginia Woolf. And so I think that the two of those films, in two very different ways, show her at her best. Right. But Boom is pretty fun.
Boom's just fun.
Yeah, it's totally fun.
It's not a great movie, but it's really fun.
But it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Richard Crouse.